So I had this whole show mapped out. We were going to talk about how our first venture into sports, how our first game, when we went to our first game, Seth came and Sean Palmer, we were going to do this whole thing. It was ready to go. We were going to talk about that. We were going to talk a little bit about baseball, which I know Seth has absolutely no interest in until next week.
Baseball.
Right. Until
baseball?
next week. Look, I won my fantasy baseball league this year.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I won about $300. I was pretty impressed with myself. No pitching, by the way. That's the hard part about fantasy baseball that nobody likes is the pitching part. But you don't have to worry about WHIP or ERA. It's just hitting. It's a points hitting league where you get 1 point per base that you accumulate and 1 point per RBI. But anyway, that being said, I was all set. I had this ready. I had an agenda. People that know me know I like a plan. I love it when the plan comes together. Good. I love it when a plan comes together.
Do you love it when a plan comes together?
I do. Me and Hannibal from the A-Team. Love it when a plan comes together. And then about an hour ago, dun, dun, dun.
This happened.
Not only did this happen, but this didn't happen to the Miami Heat, which makes me all the happier about this. But my Lord, when you talk about a team that is going for it with the proverbial, we're throwing everything in and we better win, the Bucks just did that for 1,000 different reasons, and we'll get into it. So basically, according to Adrian Wojnarowski, Wojo of ESPN, the Portland Trailblazers are trading Damian Lillard to the Bucks. Portland receives Drew Holiday, DeAndre Ayton, to Amani Kamara, who I have no idea who that is.
Who's Tumani Kamara?
Right. Milwaukee's 2009 unprotected first-round pick and unprotected pick swaps in 2028 and 2030. First of all, we're talking about 2028 and 2030. But that's needless. Okay. Then the Suns got involved in this because they wanted off of DeAndre Ayton, and they finally did. And I think this is a great move by the Suns more than anybody else, because any of the other teams, is because the thing that the Suns did not have was
a bench.
Salaries that they could trade and depth salaries, right? This is the last year that teams over that second apron in the CBA will be able to cobble together salaries and trade them. So the Suns received Yusuf Nurkic, okay, a serviceable center, right? Grayson Allen and Nasir Little, good shooting from the outside. And Keon Johnson, a 21-year-old guy that may or may not live up to what he needs. And the Bucks get Damian Lillard. So I did a little bit of analysis here, and I was just looking into this, and I'm like, all right, so that Damian Lillard is making $45 million this year, right? We've talked about this salary and what he earns over the course of time. And according to Spotrac, in 24 and 25, that was the last year of his contract. And I was like, there's something wrong with that. Oh, yeah. Below is upcoming contract extension for 2 more years at 58 and 63. So this Bucks team, who may or may not have Giannis at this point, right?
I think this is why they made the deal.
Oh, I know this is why they do it, but here's my question. Well, we'll get to that in a second. So this year they are paying $50 million in tax. 50 for the Milwaukee Bucks. I mean, next year they are already slated to pay $56 million in tax. 24-25. Wait, I'm sorry. I made that error. $25 million in tax next year and 17 in 24-25. Already. Seth, this team, yes, I get that you bring in a Lillard to pacify Giannis. I get that. What if it doesn't work? What if they go out in the first round this year again? Giannis is gone, in my opinion, if they go out in the first round. Lillard's going to ask for a trade again because he does not want to be in Milwaukee, especially if Giannis isn't there. And they have just emptied the cupboard.
First of all, I think it'll work. I like it.
You like it for Milwaukee?
I do.
Okay.
I mean, because the whole point with Lillard is, as great as Lillard is, he's not the number one on a championship team. That's been proven. But his ego is not one of the. I think he can accept, okay, I'm the number two on a team that is now the championship favorite. I don't think there'll be a problem on that end. I don't.
You think they're the favorite of everybody?
They're the favorite in the East.
Okay.
They're now the favorite in the East.
Okay.
I don't know yet. I don't think anyone can say whether they're the favorite in total because
look, they're not better than the Nuggets right now.
No, Denver is really, really good. But I mean, good Lord, wouldn't you pay to see Milwaukee Phoenix?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just great. I'm sorry.
Look, I agree with you. Look, they have the star power, right? They definitely have the star power. Do they have the depth? Considering Middleton, we know last year what Middleton was, right? He was hurt most of the year. I mean, their depth right now is, I'm looking at their roster, is Bobby Portis, Robin Lopez, and Pat Connaughton. That's their 6, 7, and 8.
But that's, first of all, that's not bad. So let's think. I just opened their team, so hold on. Bear with me a second.
So, okay, so the one is Lillard, right?
Yep. Yes.
I don't think we have any. Who's playing the 2 on this team?
Malik Beasley.
Okay, so Malik Beasley's playing the 2. The 3 is Middleton, the 4 is Giannis, and the 5 is Lopez. Okay.
Agreed.
I'm okay with that.
So now let's see what our backup.
Well, the 6 is either Jay Crowder
or Portis.
So
that's your 7.
The 7
Lopez
is
your backup center, and
who's your
9.
Who's your backup point guard on this team?
No, you need a backup point guard. I agree. But who's out in free agency at this point? You're looking at a backup point guard who can give you 10 to 15 points a game, 15 minutes a game, excuse me.
Yeah, I get you.
I mean, look,
this could either be wonderful or come down crashing. Because I'm looking at what they owe to other people in the next couple of drafts. Oh my Lord. So 2024, New Orleans has the right to swap. Okay. 2025, it goes to the Knicks. 2026, New Orleans has the right to swap.
Which deal? Oh, this is the Drew Holiday deal, I'm assuming?
Yeah. 2027, nope, New Orleans has it. 2028, they actually have their own. No, now they have.
No, they just swapped.
They just swapped, right? 2029, they lose it. And
30,
2030, they have a swap.
They're like Phoenix. They're like Phoenix.
No picks, and they have no tradable assets for the next 5 years.
Oh.
And this team is just going to get older. I mean, obviously, that's the way it works.
Well, that's typically how life works.
No, I mean, their talent, Giannis is 28. I get that. Malik Beasley is 26. All well and good. Nobody else. Lillard's 33. Lopez is 35. Middleton's 32. Portis is 28. He's actually an old 28. I mean, I thought Bobby Portis was at least 30 years old. But
okay, but let's take a step back here.
Yeah.
Middleton's game is not built on athleticism.
Agreed.
So he should be okay.
If he's healthy.
Given. But anyone, look, as long as everyone's healthy.
Over the last 2 years, Seth, he has not proven to be healthy.
Fair. He also, pretty much once he recovered from the Olympics, he didn't really recover from the Olympics. I get it. The year that they won the title, then we're in the Olympics 3 days later, then a month later, 3 weeks later, they're back in training camp. But assuming health is okay,
Yeah,
which I know is not a given,
sure.
his game is not predicated on athleticism. So his
Okay.
game can hold up for a couple of years.
Okay.
Lillard, you agree, disagree?
Okay. I'm rolling with what you got. I'm rolling with what you got here.
Brook Lopez, he's a center. He is an athlete. Now, to be fair, he is a much more athletic center than a lot of, but he's also a center. And he does have a post-up game. You know, he learned how to shoot the three. Oh no, Lopez has a nice post-up game. He always has.
Yeah, he just doesn't use it anymore.
He uses it on occasion. He may need to use it a little bit more because he's going to getting older in age. But he does have his brother as a backup who's serviceable. And again, Lopez is signed at a 2-year deal, I believe. He signed a 2-year extension or a 2-year off of free agency. Lillard's got a lot of mileage. He's got tread. But he's also has tread in part because he's been carrying a team for 12 years. He doesn't need to carry this team. I mean, do I think 5 years of Lillard is going to play out well the last 2 years? No, nobody does. And I am curious why Milwaukee didn't think Drew Holiday could be the third person to get him to the championship. Unless Giannis said Drew Holiday is not the third person who's going to get us to the championship.
Well, okay, so hold on. So there's a couple of things going on here. Drew Holiday's in the last year of his contract. Wants an extension.
Okay, I didn't know that actually.
So if he wants an extension, or they're going to let him go for nothing, right? They have this is what we call salary cap jail. There is no way to replace him if you let him go because you're still over the cap. Yep. And so you're either signing him to a gargantuan deal. Remember, he's earning about $31 million.
He's earning $35 million a year right now.
Right. So you're signing him to a 5-year, $200 million deal at $40 million a year, or you're taking a chance on Damian Lillard at 4 years and $230 million. And truth be told, I have more confidence in Lillard's game being what it is than Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday is predicated on speed and defense, and he is not a pick and roll partner for Giannis.
No.
I am going to look, we said this last week. Well, I said it last week that I was very much looking forward to the NBA season. And I said it because I'm looking forward to watching a lot more of LeBron and appreciating that. This pick and roll will be amazing. It may be only amazing for the first 20 games, but it will be amazing. If it is healthy come playoff time, this is what you envisioned James Harden and Joel Embiid being pick and roll pop. This is that, right? This is what you want. This is the perfect pick and roll partnership. If they're healthy, this is where it rolls. Defensively, this team takes a big step back. Lillard, but the hope is that Brook Lopez makes up for that, right? And that the defense on the back end makes up for the lack of defense on the front end, because there is definitely a lack of defense. Now, let's talk about this deal. First of all, if I'm going to ask you this again, do you believe that if they get bounced in the first round, Giannis doesn't demand a trade? Does this solve the problem? Because this is, like you said, this is all about Giannis. This is all about keeping Giannis. So Giannis goes through a year with Damian Lillard. They win 58 games, which I don't think is too unrealistic, actually. They could win 50. They could probably win 60 because that's who they are. That's fine. And they get bounced in the first round. Or let's say they get bounced in the second round after the play-in. They get bounced by Philadelphia. Okay. No, they don't make the conference finals. They're bounced before the finals. Does Giannis say, I'm done with Milwaukee? I don't know. And
he's a free agent in 25.
Yes. If they are going to trade him, next year is the year to trade him, because you don't trade him with 1 year left on that contract. You trade him with 1.5 or 2.
Right.
And you don't trade him mid-season because you get more in the beginning than you do at the midway part in the NBA, generally, if your name is not Kevin Durant. But if that domino falls, Seth, I understand you're going to accumulate draft picks coming back. I get that.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong there. But this is the New Jersey. This is the Brooklyn Nets problem, right? I can't bottom out because my picks are somebody else's picks. I'm hoping that the Knicks bottom out with Giannis, or I'm hoping that the Lakers bottom out with Giannis, or I'm hoping X, Y, and Z bottoms out with Giannis, which at its core is not going to happen.
I guess my feeling is we really don't know. I can say something, but it's really not going to have any value. We have to see how the year plays. I think they're going to play beautifully together. I really do. I think Lillard will be incredibly energized for this. I think Giannis, look, that team just completely became populated last year. Whether it was Budenholzer with his brother's death and just kind of going into the tank, whether there was something with Drew Holiday or Middleton not being healthy, it rejuvenates a franchise that it gives you at a minimum a very good chance as a champion in 24. If they win in 24, Giannis is going to resign. Or if they make the finals, Giannis is probably going to resign.
I agree with that. 23, 24, right.
23, 24.
Yes, if they make the finals or they win, certainly if they win, he's going to resign. I don't have any question about it.
Because there's nothing, this isn't somebody who's unhappy being per se in Milwaukee.
No, he wants to win.
This isn't Stevie Francis going to Vancouver and being miserable from the day. It's a question of whether the team can stay competitive. Now, you've given up Grayson Allen, but I don't think Grayson Allen is any great thing to give up. Drew Holiday hurts, but to get a superstar, you give up. You got to give up to get. So that is what it is.
Yep.
There's going to be free agents who are going to want to go to this team because they're going to see this as a championship caliber team.
Hold on, but now we're into there are going to be free agents that go with no cap money. With no, remember,
you're always going to have the people signing on the minimum deal.
That's what you're playing in. You're not even playing in the buyout market, Seth.
No, you're playing in a minimum deal
because buyout markets are prohibited when you're over the second apron now, and you're over the second apron with this deal. You were over the.
Would you have done this deal if you were Milwaukee?
Here's the thing. I think you have to do it. I think you have to do it because you're not re-signing Drew Holiday. That's the kick. But like I said before, this is either going to end very poorly or end in amazement. There is no middle ground here because those picks at the end of 2028, 2029, 2030, there is no supplemental younger players, Seth, coming into this team. This is your team for the next 4 years.
Sean, I need 30 seconds.
That's fine. This is I'm going to take it off. This is your team for the next 4 years. This is what you're getting. I don't like these kick them out, way out draft picks. And you're looking here, like I said before, the future draft picks up until 2030, they don't own one of them of their own. They own a 2024 second round pick, a 2027 second round pick. And that's it. Sorry, they own a 2024 Portland second round pick, a 2027 their own second round pick. And other than that, everything is a swap or a trade. So none of them are theirs. And that's where I'm down to. And now this is very similar to New Orleans. To the Lakers. This is very similar to Minnesota with the Rudy Gobert trade. This is very similar now to the Nets. The Nets are great because They don't. I think I was saying this before. They don't have their own, but they have everybody else's. If you look at the Nets have. Hold on, I had this up before. Sorry, I'm getting it up because I always like looking at this. So the Nets have Phoenix is 2025, Miami's second in 2025, their own in 2026 second round pick. Phoenix is 27, Philly's 27, protected 1 through 8. Their own 28, they actually have one in 28. In 29, they own their own. So after that, and then they get the outgoings are the 2024, the 2025, the 2026, the 2027 is a right swap, and the 2027 second is gone too. So they own none of theirs, but they own everybody else's. And between them and New Orleans and Utah, I mean, the picks are all over the place. And those picks, while I do understand that you value the picks higher when they're not selected, right? Because they're lottery choices. And I get that part. And their value is actually higher before they're picked than when they are picked, because now you have a concrete, tangible asset as opposed to a lottery selection. But those picks in the new CBA are infusion of young talent and young cheap talent. I think Seth's back. Young cheap talent. And Seth, that's the point that I've been trying to make over the last 6 months, is that you have all these trades that are trading out picks 3, 4, 5 years from now, along with swaps, right? With the new CBA, you can't aggregate salaries if you're over the apron. You can't get anybody on the buyout market. You have to make 1-for-1 trades. And trust me, those 1-for-1 trades are really, really hard. You can't do it. I think the maximum is 110% of the salary, not 125% of the salary. So you basically have to have exact slotting, right? Which they have in the NHL or even in the NFL. Right? Exact slotting. Draft picks are currency because they bring in young talent at low prices. And these teams that, such as the Suns, the Timberwolves, now the Bucks, the 76ers, they're not going to get that young talent coming in. You're going to see a lot more trading this year, I think, than you will ever see in the future, because this is the last year that you can aggregate those salaries. This trade is important because it's September, October, November, December, January, February. March is 6 months. Oh, that doesn't work. Generally, you can't. Oh, no, these are aggregated salaries. You can trade these guys. I think it's December 15th you can trade these guys. I think you may see more trades. And certainly, I don't see Drew Holiday staying on Portland.
What do you think? That doesn't.
What do you think about this for Portland? Let's talk about the other teams.
I don't love it for Portland. I think they really did not want to trade. I think they were genuinely just did not want to deal with Miami.
Yes.
I think getting Ayton fits well. Assuming, I mean, I'm always antsy on any Portland center based on the last 40 years, 50 years. The 3 picks down the road, whatever. Drew Holiday, I think you're going to turn around and trade for a couple. You're going to turn around and trade. I don't know who Kamar. I don't know who the other guy is. The problem is the value. I wonder if everyone compares it to like the Gobert trade, where the value was so absurd, and now you have better players now, albeit lower as a 33-year-old guard as opposed to a 28-year-old center.
Sure.
But there wasn't much out there that I don't think there was a massive outpouring for people wanting Lillard.
No, and I think that's the point, right? Is that if you're getting Lillard, if you're making this trade, you have to either be in the championship run this year or you have to be in it next year. It's a 2-year window. If you're not in it in those 2 years, then this is not the guy for you, right?
Right.
And it goes to a second degree too. People are waiting for Joel Embiid to say, I'm out of here, right?
Mhm.
People are waiting for Giannis to say, I'm out of here. Now, Giannis may be off the table in your point of view at this point, but you are holding your chips. If I have a chance at Giannis or Embiid, who are 3 and 4 years younger than Lillard, why am I throwing all my chips in the table for the 33-year-old small guy? You don't trade for small. You trade for big, right? That's the old adage. You trade for younger and bigger. You don't trade for smaller and older. And Lillard is smaller and older. If you look at the Portland Trailblazers salary cap right now, believe it or not, they're a tax team right now, a $2 million tax team. They'll get off of that real easily with one trade. But they have Drew Holiday, who has a player option for next year at $39 million. He may actually opt in at that point. I don't really know. DeAndre Ayton's got 3 more years. This year. No, 3 more years. 23, 24 is this year. This year, next year, and the year after, each at about 35. And then you just signed Jeremy Grant to a 4-year and an option at about 35. So tell me this: at the end of 2 years, how many of those 3 players will be on this team? Holiday, Ayton, and Grant.
Holiday's gone because he said his contract's up at the end of the year. So
he's got a player option for next. So he may be gone.
He's gone. He's gone.
He's good.
Ayton's there. Because Ayton wants to be a key player. He has that opportunity there.
He does.
Assuming Grant, I think if they could trade Grant, they would.
Well, they just re-signed him, so they can't trade him until December 15th.
The problem is, and I told you about this, this is the one thing, for those of you who don't know, I am actually a Blazer fan and have been for many years, going way before Damian Lillard. So I root for them, and I genuinely root for Lillard, and I like him. I wish he would have announced this a week earlier, because then Portland doesn't sign Grant to a 5-year, $160 million deal, which is an overpayment for a nice player, but not a game changer by any stretch. I think he's there because I don't think they can trade him.
And they can't aggregate. Well, they can because they're not, believe it or not, they can because they won't be in that second tier by any stretch. I mean, they won't be.
Is that yours?
Yeah, it's mine, but I don't know which window. Sorry. Okay, there we go. They won't be in that second tier until Scoot Henderson becomes a free agent and signs that max contract. And then the question is, when Scoot Henderson, it was funny. There was a conversation with regards to max players, and the question is at this point is how quickly the CBA allows this, but how quickly do max players take the max contract and then say, I want the heck out of here? And how often does that really happen? And you're seeing it a lot. You're seeing with Paul George, right? You saw it with Anthony Davis. You're seeing it with Damian Lillard. They all take the max deal because that's what's allowed under the CBA and then say, get me out of here. Like they take the cake and eat it too. And I'm not sure that there is a way for you to restrict that other than saying, you can't trade a max player for 2 years. And I can't imagine
CBA is never going to allow that.
The NBA Players Association will never allow that, right? Ever. They'll never go for that part. So just an interesting, as far as, let me ask you this, is this a better, we didn't talk about what it does for Phoenix. I think it just breaks up Ayton's salary. I think you had a lot in one guy that you weren't really confident in. And now you got 4 or 5 guys. You added a lot of depth to that team. And not great depth, but good depth. And they don't need great depth on that team. They need good depth. Is this trade better for Portland than the Miami trade? The proposed Miami trade. So the proposed Miami trade was Vasquez, right? Vasquez,
Jimmy Vasquez, Tyler Hero,
Jokovic,
Jovic, and 3 first-rounders.
And 2 first-rounders and a swap. Sorry, 2 swaps and no, it's 2 first-rounders and a swap.
It's pretty close. I mean, they didn't want Hero. I think that's kind of what a lot of this plays. I don't think they wanted Hero to be the centerpiece of the deal. You don't know what you have in Jovic. Vasquez is a rookie. Nobody has a clue. The 3 first-round picks from Miami are going to be pointless because they're all going to be pick 26, pick 27, pick 28.
Well, aren't Milwaukee's the same way?
Yeah, that's why I'm kind of just pushing those to the side. So it's, who would you rather have? I'd probably rather have Miami's deal just because they're younger. But if you can turn around Holiday's deal and ship him for 2 first-rounders to a team that's a point guard away from a title, Lakers.
Okay, well, the Lakers aren't. I don't see how the Lakers make that trade.
I'm just throwing a team out. I'm not going through their stats.
No, to your point, aren't we in the same boat with Lillard than we were with that you're putting Drew Holiday in there? Aren't you saying you're 1 point guard away? Well, isn't that what we just said about Lillard? There aren't many players or many teams that will be able to do that.
They're different kinds of players, though. I mean, maybe to a team, I'm just throwing it out there, like a Sacramento, who needs a defensive. No, I'm not saying you're going to trade him to Sacramento.
Davion Mitchell?
Davion Mitchell plays 10 minutes a game.
Yeah, but he plays their defensive 10 minutes.
He does play their defense. Fair. But, cumulatively, I think they were like 20, weren't they? Didn't they? They were like 20-something in the league in defense. You're going to trade him to a team that has an offensive powerhouse and defensively. So who is that?
That is the Boston Celtics.
They're not trading him to the Boston Celtics. What the hell is Boston going to give up?
I'm just saying that is the Boston.
They're not trading. Yes.
Are you disagreeing with me? That is the Boston Celtics.
Right. So you're trading him to the Boston Celtics, who have 5 guards, 6 guards that they traded. They had to trade Marcus Smart.
Okay, hold on. Let's keep going. It's not the Sixers. It's not the Cavs. It's not the Knicks. It's not the Nets. It's not the Hawks. If they wanted to trade with the Heat, they would have already done it, right? So it's not the Heat.
The question is, would the Sixers not? Why wouldn't the Sixers be a decent fit?
Tyrese Maxey?
You can play. You're going to trade Harden at some point anyway.
Well, that's another 3-way deal I'd love to see. Is Holiday going one place, Harden going another, and somebody going to Philly, and somebody coming to Portland. Yeah. Okay, the Heat, the Heat would need him. But again, if they didn't want Hero before, they don't want Hero now. The Bulls could use him, but they're not 1 player away.
They're not 1 player away.
And they're not re-signing him to a $200 million deal. Okay, the Raptors? Yeah. I mean, they lose Van Fleet, right? They signed Dennis Schroeder, who is more of a 2-guard than a 1-guard. Yeah, I can say. It's funny how Portland, the latest rumors were that Portland was trading him to Toronto, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so could you see a Siakam for Drew Holiday straight up deal? I believe it matches in salary, and they're both
pretty close. Are both are free agents after this year, correct?
Well, I think they both have player options. So yeah, they're both 1-and-1s. I mean, it is.
That's a good deal for both teams.
It's as good a fit as you're going to find.
because that allows Scotty Barnes to go back to just being a small forward as opposed to a point forward.
Yep.
You have him and Anunoby. Oh God, that defense would be vicious. Holiday, Anunoby, Trent, and Barnes.
Yeah.
That's a damn good defensive team.
Yep.
And that gives you in Portland, that gives you Ayton, Siakam,
Scoot,
Sharp,
and Simons.
That ain't bad.
And a whole lot of and picks, right? Because you got picks coming. Not saying picks are the end all be all, but you got picks coming. I mean, but remember, are you re-signing Siakam at that point to a $50 million deal if you're Portland? And are you re-signing Drew Holiday to a $50 million deal if you're Toronto?
No, but neither of them are signing their players to a $50 million deal either.
You don't think if Siakam wanted a max contract, Toronto would give it to if he was willing to sign something around $40 million, Toronto wouldn't give it to him?
I don't know.
Remember, Siakam was third-team All-NBA last year, as was Drew Holiday. So I mean, these guys are older guys, but they're still playing at the best that they've been. And I'm not saying that they will. And quite frankly, these 4 or 5 year contracts. And look, ladies and gentlemen, we talk about $40 to $50 million. Understand this is a percentage of the salary cap. So as the cap goes up, these salaries go up. So this, like the $20 million deal that LeBron signed 4 years ago as a max deal is now a $40 million deal only because the salary cap went up. It's not that he's a better player. It's just a percentage of the cap. So when we talk about this type of money, get used to it. You're going to see $60 million deals. Then you're going to see the fact that Jaylen Brown is a $60 million player and he's the most expensive player in the NBA. That will last this season because next year, Jason Tatum's going to beat him. And then the year after, somebody else will beat him. And this is just going to be cascading until the real estate blowout of some year in 2035 when nobody's making money, which will not happen. Okay, I think we've talked 38 minutes on Damian Lillard, which is awesome because welcome to the NBA, everybody. And we'll have our NBA preview in a couple of weeks. But welcome to October. And speaking of October, no, we won't talk baseball yet. I see the look on your face. I did want to ask.
Well, we can talk baseball.
Do you remember the first professional game you ever went to?
What sport or any sport?
Sure. Let's go. I'm going to take out hockey because I went to hockey games all my entire life. But your first real professional sporting event. Do you remember it?
I went to a Giants-Cowboys game in 1981. I want to say, I'm looking it up right now.
So your dad took you?
Oh, yeah.
Outside?
Yep.
December, November?
I'm looking it up, man. I don't really remember. It's been a long time.
Well, if you're going to look for a Dallas Cowboy Giant game, they play twice every year forever. So you're not going to find the game unless you know what the game was.
I want to say, no, maybe I went to a Giants Cowboy game in 81.
Was it?
I don't.
So 81 was Danny White.
Yeah, I think so. I barely. My recollection is really low. I do. The first thing that I do remember, and very vaguely, like I went to a college basketball game. You'll appreciate this. North Carolina, Kentucky, at Brennan Byrne Arena. 1982, 83.
So you saw Jordan play.
Yeah.
You don't remember it, but you saw him.
I do. I'm looking it up.
I mean,
I still have the what do you call it?
I mean, I came to the understanding, and look, Yom Kippur is a day of reflection for our people. And I'm really lucky, right? I get to go, I can go to basically whatever game I want. And I have enough that I can do that. And I can make the sacrifice to do it. And I feel like it's important to experience things that you haven't experienced. And one of my friends at the Break Fast was talking about a Jets Super Bowl, and I was like, "You're way like you're 3 weeks too late to be talking about that." But thank you so much for bringing that to my attention. And we went again into how much a Jet fan would pay for a Super Bowl, and it harkened back to the first game that I ever went to, which was the Jets versus the Dolphins. And my family, unlike yours, we were not sports fans. I was a sports fan, but nobody else knew what an offside was. Nobody knew hockey, yes, because we all had hockey tickets. But as far as football, I remember one year for Thanksgiving, my mom coming into the room and saying, "How much time is left for the football game?" And I said, 2 minutes. And she came in 25 minutes later and said, "How much time is left?" And I said, 35 seconds. And she didn't quite understand how that worked. And I think every mother of a child that loves sports goes through that at least once, where it's like, how does this work? And I mean, that was my first football game. My first basketball game, I saw David Robinson play at the Garden.
Okay.
My dad surprised me with tickets, and then we drove up to the Baseball Hall of Fame, which was an amazing event just for me, because the Baseball Hall of Fame is probably one of my 5 favorite places in the world to just hang out. And I can't tell you my first hockey game. My first college basketball game was at Syracuse University. I had never seen a college basketball game or a college football game before then. And basketball, football. And my first baseball game, have to guess it was with the synagogue, Seth. I had to get. I mean, all the Jews went to one game during the year because the synagogue had a field trip for that one game. But it does. I mean, look, I wear jerseys all the time. I just bought a new Mets jersey. Thank you to the hardworking people in China that delivered my $30 jersey.
Jesus.
Well, they did. I ordered it from China. It's $30. And my Francisco Alvarez jersey, which will come into play next year. Look, I wear jerseys all the time. I go to games a lot. But I am thankful. I am appreciative to the opportunities that I do get to do that. And I think taking my nephew to a game is amazing. I know you took Jake last year to a game. And I think we'll plan on doing that again at some point soon. But I was just wondering, have you found the game with Danny White? Have you? I know you've been looking. Have we found the game?
I found the Kentucky North Carolina game.
Okay.
So that's December 26th, 1981.
You were 5.
I was 5.
Okay. That's pretty awesome. That you were so that 1981 was James Worthy on that team, right?
Mm-hmm. It was the team that won the national title, I think. Or maybe it was the year before, so maybe Jordan wasn't there. Jordan came in. Well, they won the 82 title, but I don't know if it was 81, 82 or 82, 83.
Well, you just said the date.
Right, but I don't know if Jordan was there.
He would have been a freshman.
He may have been a freshman on 82. Is it when you win a championship? Is it the following year, or is it the first year? It's the following. Is it the following?
2001. Sorry, 2003. Syracuse won the championship, and that was March of 2003.
Okay, so then yes, this was the year Jordan was there.
So you had Jordan, Worthy, Sam Perkins, right?
Yep.
You're kind of impressed that I know all these guys on this team. I'm Al Wood, right?
Are you looking up stuff? Yeah, Al Wood.
No.
Here you go.
I'm not looking this up at all, and I pulled out Al Wood, which is kind of impressive.
Giants 13, Cowboys 10, December 19th, 1981.
Okay. So
that was a good month.
Your 1981 was a great year for your first. So all right. So a week from yesterday starts Major League Baseball playoffs. And we have most of the teams have come to fruition, and we know who they are. I believe that the wild card in the American League is still open. Props to the Orioles and to Tampa Bay once again. 98 wins and 96 wins. Baltimore, I still don't think they have a shot in the playoffs because of the pitching. But when you have a plus-minus differential of 128, yes, please. Minnesota, 84 and 73, have clinched that division and well on the way to losing again in the first round. Texas, without Max Scherzer and without Jake DeGrom, goes 88 wins. Houston has 86 wins, and the Mariners have 85 wins. So right now, the wild card is Tampa Bay and Toronto, with Houston a game and a half behind. Houston's still in. Seattle a half a game behind. So the three wild cards are Tampa Bay, Toronto, and Houston. Tampa Bay has won a wild card spot at 92 wins, and Seattle is a half a game behind. In the National League, my Mets are eliminated. No surprise. Atlanta has 101 wins, and I'll tell you, the city here cannot get enough of them. I keep getting more and more emails about buying tickets, and that will not happen. Not at all. 101 and 56 with a plus minus of 231. Damn. Philadelphia makes the playoffs at 88 and 69. The Brewers 88 and 69 as well. The Dodgers 97 and 60, and I still think we have a wild card race there. Philadelphia is in. Arizona is a buck and a half up, and Chicago is in the wild card right now with the Miami Marlins a half a game behind and the Reds a game and a half behind. And the two teams that we talked about the most, the Mets and the Padres, not going to be there. And neither are the Yankees. The Yankees officially eliminated at 80 and 77. Surprising year, other than my fantasy league winning. Surprising year.
Well, wouldn't that be surprising?
Well, I guess so, because I finally won something. Only my 8th or 9th year in that league. Are you surprised by anything else other than the Mets? And I mean, I'm shocked at the Cubs, and I'm shocked by the Marlins.
Yeah,
I mean, the Diamondbacks too.
The National League is who wouldn't be? Who wouldn't be shocked by these teams? I mean, the Cincinnati was the most interesting team in baseball for a good portion of the year. I mean, even knowing they tailed off at the end. I mean, I'm just pulling it up as well.
Well, here's one of the things that surprises me. So looking at the wild card, Philadelphia is a plus 81. Arizona is a -4. Chicago's a plus 100. The Marlins are a -51, and the Reds are a -44. Run differential generally is indicative of how good you are. And when you're in the minus section, you're generally not a playoff team. And at least two of these teams are going to the playoffs with minus. Nobody in the American League is at a minus. Everybody is well above plus 50. Seattle is actually plus 99. But, I mean, so if you were...
We've won it for years. And, you know, you're saying this, I'm a Yankee, look, I root for the Yankees. I mean, relatively. All we've wanted is something interesting.
Yeah.
We got something interesting. Now, if it ends up being Atlanta versus the Dodgers and the Astros versus the Rays, not really that interesting.
We're no different than where we were.
But when you look at the top six, you know, as you said, Baltimore is out of nowhere. Texas is not out of nowhere, but surprising. Yep. Seattle, not shocking, but, you know, it's nice to see. The Cubs out of nowhere. Arizona out of nowhere. The Reds out of nowhere. Again, relevant till the end. Sure. Out of nowhere. That's nice. And the Marlins, I mean, how the hell are the Marlins 81-75? But is it going to lead to, is it going to fascinate me for the playoff? No, the Yankees are out, the Mets are out, the Padres are out. Not really, but for baseball fans, this has got, who don't have, who are tired of the Astros and the Dodgers. At least there's some new blood here.
And you're tired of the Mets and Red Sox. I will tell you that flat out. And this not necessarily coming from a Mets fan, Seth. I think the country is tired of the Mets and Red Sox, just in general. I think not having either one of them in the playoffs is a good. Having Baltimore is a good thing, right? Having Tampa is a good thing. Much to what you just said. By the way, you know how the Marlins made it? The Marlins were consistent. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guys with a WAR over 1. And that's consistency. That's better than average.
But they did it with their Cy Young pitcher having didn't he have a horrifying year?
Yeah, Sandy Alcantara.
Alcantara had a terrible year.
Yeah, I mean, Sandy Alcantara went 7-12 with a 4.14 ERA, but had a WAR of 3.3. I mean, they did it based on pitching. They have 6 guys with a WAR over 2, including their 19-year-old phenom, Yuri Perez, and I don't even remember the last time he pitched. I mean, he's only pitched in 19 games this year. The last time he pitched was, he pitched 3 innings on Wednesday, and then he pitched 4 innings. Like, he's been limited to 4-inning starts as they come down the stretch. So, all right. So before we go, we have to talk about this and holy cow, we got through 52 minutes without talking about the NFL. Congratulations to us, because during football season, that never happens. The state of Colorado got outscored 112-26 this weekend. Now, who is going to get benched first, Seth? Justin, and this comes down to the game of the Broncos versus the Bears this week. Will it be Justin Fields or will it be Russell Wilson? Who gets benched first?
Russell Wilson.
Without any doubt?
Who the hell is the Bears going to put in? Who is the Bears' backup quarterback?
I have absolutely no idea.
Look, Fields is a second year guy, third year, that they're still trying to see if they can, with a new offensive coordinator, that they're trying to see if they can maneuver in to make it work.
Okay.
He's not on a $54 million deal, $260 million contract.
Well, that may be the reason to bench him. Because you're not.
No, because if you're doing, they have kept him. They made this trade because they traded with Carolina.
Sure.
Because they think he can be a quarterback.
Yes, I agree.
I don't want to base things off of 3 games.
Okay.
Russell Wilson, on the other hand, has a coach who has carte blanche for the most part.
Sure.
Is not obviously enthralled with Wilson.
Or anything else there.
No. Well, he's enthralled with the contract he got. And has a competent backup in Jarrett Stidham.
Yes. Okay.
So, I think, to me, it's a no-brainer. Okay. I don't think either of them is getting benched this week. I think it's way too early. But could be wrong.
I think if you go 0-4, Denver is going to be benching Russell Wilson. I think at least for a game, and see what happens. All right, we got 5 minutes left. Would you like to go first, or you?
Sure. I think we say a fond farewell to one of the most consistent pitchers of the last 20 years. Yeah, I'm doing baseball.
So am I.
I don't think Adam Wainwright's a Hall of Famer, but I think he had a very, very nice career, was pretty much beloved by everybody. I don't know if he ever won the Cy Young, but he certainly was in the top 5, it feels like 5 or 6 times.
Yep.
And went out on a one hit. It was a 4-hitter over 7 innings.
First 200th win.
Yeah, first 200th win. Good for him. And congratulations on a hell of a career.
And with that, we will be saying goodbye to the human vacuum cleaner, Brooks Robinson. So, look, again, we the heroes of yesteryear are unfortunately dying as we get older, and an underappreciated player by today's standards. Sparky Anderson once said that Brooks Robinson should be in heaven already because the plays are out of this world, which is pretty awesome, to the 1971 series. If you have the opportunity to go on YouTube and watch Brooks Robinson's greatest plays, the only guy that comes even close to him is Nolan Arenado. The only guy that comes close. Schmidt's not close. Defensively, Brooks Robinson, the human vacuum cleaner, 264 average. Not the hitter that you wanted, but between him and Mark Berlinger, who are on the left side of that infield for the Orioles, there's a reason that team had 4 20-game winners in 1971, which is insane when you think about it. Like 20-game winners these days, you don't even get anymore. So 4 20-game winners. So rest in peace to Brooks Robinson. Next week, we will have our baseball playoff preview, even though it'll be a day after they start, but we'll talk about it then. And then the week after, we start with college basketball, my friend. So the last year of the Pac, whatever you want to call them, the last year of the Big, whatever you want to call them, and while the ACC will be there because that's who we are. So we will talk to you next week. Have a great week, everybody. Adios, amigos. See you.
Bye.